I got some microphones for you. There you go. One for the front, one for the back row. All right, first things first. How about you go down the line, introduce yourself, say your name, say your grade, and say what school you go to. All right? Name, grade, what school you go to. Go ahead.
My name's Elijah.
Talk up, Elijah. This is your room right here. Everybody is waiting to hear what you have to say.
My name's Elijah.
That was barely loud. All right.
Okay, my name's Elijah.
There you go. I love it.
I'm in the 10th grade. I go to Paint Branch High School.
I'm Tori. I'm a junior at Centennial High School.
My name's Charlie. I'm in the 8th grade and I go to Gainesville Middle School.
I'm Vince. I'm a junior and I go to Hebron. I'm Josh. I'm a junior. I go to Open Mills.
Josh, you're a junior and you go where? I'm sorry, somebody interrupted you.
I go to Open Mills.
Okay. Awesome. Great.
I'm Naomi Washington. I'm a senior. I go to Appleton.
I'm Miles Saylor. I go to Walker Squad School for the Arts as a 9th grader.
Hi, I'm Zaya, and excuse me. I'm a 10th grader, and I go to Blake High School.
Blake. All right. All right. So I want to give you all a little bit of an idea of what we just did. So this time last week, we weren't here. We were in what city? New York City. Can you pull up that first picture? We were here at this place called the United Nations General Assembly, and once a year, world leaders from all corners of the globe congregate together in New York City to talk about big picture global issues. And as that's happening, there are a whole bunch of little side events that are happening where these world leaders get together to talk about how do we address big questions and big issues that our globe is facing. All right? So, Sasha, everybody say, hey, Sasha.
Hey, Sasha!
So Sasha was invited to come up and be on one of these panels to talk about how we impact youth and encourage youth to be global citizens. And she was allowed to bring a youth delegation, a group of youth to come and be a part of this thing. And guess what? These are the youth that got to come out. So you guys applied for this, reached out and said why you wanted to be a part of this. And so you know, all right, when you look at that picture back there, these are people from Malawi, Kenya, India, the Netherlands, Argentina, Pakistan, Turkey, Liberia, Australia, Spain, Portugal, Mozambique, Brazil, Russia, Japan, Zambia, Rwanda, Chad, South Africa, Argentina, and Uganda. That's the people who were in the room. And they were doing global peace building work in professions like the medical system, the judicial system, international sports, nonviolent peace building, education, youth empowerment, community mobilizing, journalism, civil rights advocacy, and government. And us. And Sasha. Like, that's the level that these students got a chance to go and look at what it means to be a part of something bigger than yourself. So now I want to stop talking a little bit and let y'all talk. And where I want us to start talking is, why did you originally want to go on this trip? To go and be a part of a youth delegation to something like the United Nations conference. So, somebody speak up first. We'll all get a chance to talk. So speak up now and then we'll pass the microphone around. Go ahead, Elijah.
One reason I wanted to go was leadership, because this is a place where a whole bunch of leaders can gather around and talk, and to see how other leaders communicate with other leaders to figure out how to solve a problem or make something better is really, like, it can impact you and teach you, and it was a learning lesson.
That's awesome. What a great reason. Because when you get, they say you are the equivalent of the 5 closest people you hang out with. So look at your 5 closest friends. What are they doing? Are they leading? Are they pushing you to a different level? Because it seems like what Elijah is saying is, as leaders are figuring out global issues, he wants to hang out with them. He wants to be around them and see how they talk and how they address issues. Thanks, Elijah. Anybody else want to talk about why you decided to come?
I thought the trip was good because you got to hear some action steps that people can take instead of just like talking. Because I feel like in our society we just do like a lot of talking and like, yeah, there's a lot of problems, but what can we do to fix it? So we got to hear like some of that from like a world leader perspective. So that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's stop talking. Stop talking and start doing. I love that. Thanks so much for that. All right, so what was it like to be in a room with people like that? Somebody share, what was it like for you to be in a room with people who are doing that kind of work?
For me, it was kind of encouraging, and it was also sort of nerve-wracking because, like you said, they're world leaders, they're doctors, lawyers, etc., and we're students from high school in like Maryland, so we haven't done much yet. But like I said, it was encouraging and it's aspirational. So.
Awesome.
It was kind of a learning curve because you figured out what's going on in other people's countries. So it gives you an idea of what's going on, and it puts you in perspective of like how people in America, they're complaining about data and what new phones coming out and stuff like that, while other people are worrying about like clean water and what's gonna happen with the food supply and stuff. So it really puts you in perspective.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Nice. Anybody else want to talk about what it was like to be a part of something like this and be in a room with people like that? Cool. So share. Oh, go ahead, Sai.
Yeah, I also want to say I felt really like honored but also nervous because you're like sitting in a room where people really want to make a change in our society and really want to step up about the problems that we have. So it was really, really cool to be around people that also wanted to make a change like ourselves.
That's awesome. It calls you up to a different level, right? When you're in a room like that, you're like, I can't just go back to life like it was, right? I can't just go back and act like I can just be one of your run-of-the-mill teenagers worried about run-of-the-mill things and be caught up in all the drama that comes with middle school and high school that never amounts to anything. I have to actually use my life for something bigger. Yeah. So share a couple of takeaways, like maybe a highlight. How about we do highlights? And how about you skip through some of these pictures, and I'm going to make a couple comments. So as we were there, we were interacting with these leaders, and then walk through one. So this is Charlie. Charlie, who are you next to there? Who's he next to?
Ennis Cantor.
Ennis Cantor. Click to the next one. We got Tori. Click to the next one. That's Charlie next to Gandhi's great-grandson. If you ever heard of Gandhi, he was an international peace builder back in the day. With Gandhi's great-grandson who runs the Gandhi Center in India. Keep going. Another, and keep it on that one. All right. So somebody tell me about Ennis Cantor. Somebody get me started.
All right. So for those who don't know, Ennis Cantor is an NBA basketball player in the United States. He plays for the Celtics, I believe. He is from Turkey, 6'11", big dude. Like talk about like his backstory or like what we talk about?
No, that was good about his basketball career. Thank you. Yeah. Could you give stats though, if we wanted to?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Some of the stuff that he told us, I feel like some of us shouldn't be hearing because it's kind of freaky.
Mm-hmm. What kind of thing? So Ennis Cantor walks in the room, and he's enormous, and people start flocking to him. And sorry, I was like, who's that? Because I'm not hip. And so they were like, that's Ennis Cantor from the Celtics, and everybody wanted to get their picture taken with him. And he wins this award for being for youth empowerment because he runs these really cool basketball camps. And then while he's up on stage, he has the microphone, and he says, thanks for the award, but let me tell you a little bit about my life. Can somebody share what he shared? Yes, get us started. And Josh, how about you pass the microphone to Tori? So, you get us started, Vince. What did he share?
Oh, all right. So as Josh explained, he came from Turkey, but he came to the United States, and then his parents and his family were having hard times finding jobs because of his last name and their relation to him. So in Turkey, they publicly disowned him. So he kind of so they could provide for themselves,
Yeah.
That's
Somebody, fill in some gaps.
All right. So in Turkey, their leader is kind of like a dictator in some ways, right? So he doesn't like when the press says things that are negative to him. So Ennis Cantor spoke up against the way they oppressed the journalists there. And because he did that, the Turkish government started messing with his family. So his family had to publicly disown him so that they could stay safe and just away from him so that they can still live their lives. So I believe he said the last time he talked to his mother was 2016 was the last time he talked to his mother, and he hasn't seen any of his brothers or fathers since. That's just some of the stuff that's going on with him.
Yeah, and he decided to still speak out against injustice, even though he's at the level that he's at, and even though it was causing a lot of harm within his family. He said, these issues are important enough that I'm going to use my platform to speak out against this. You want to fill in one more thing?
And he also said that because of the publicity and because of what's happening in Turkey, he really doesn't have a big social media presence. He said that he doesn't even follow his teammates because he's scared that they're going to get death threats. And he's been getting death threats every day in the mail, text, email, stuff like that. So,
Just for speaking out against human rights injustices and against lack of freedom of speech. That's the level that he's at, and he's using his platform to sacrifice for something bigger than himself. Tori, could you talk a little bit about the significance of that to you? What was it like for you? Did you know that about his story before that day?
I knew that there was a warrant for his arrest in Turkey,
Okay.
and that's about all I knew.
So what was it like for you to hear that from somebody that you respect, a leader that you respect?
I think it gave me a new perspective on people who use their platform for good, because there's a lot of NBA players and just athletes or people with a lot of influence who don't take advantage of the reach that they have, especially if you're an NBA player, you have millions of people who are looking up to you. And I think that the fact that he sacrifices a lot in order to fight for the things that he believes in, and I think that's empowering for everyone.
That's awesome. So, I think one thing that I kept encouraging y'all to do was this was going to be a zoom out experience, right? Where you get a really big picture of what it looks like to impact the world. But then, when we get back home, we can't stay zoomed out. We have to zoom back in, right? So what's your takeaway? What do you do with this? Charlie, Miles, you guys want to say anything about what do you do with the experience that you had?
So one thing that I am doing currently is planning to go to Kenya in 2 summers and working on a volunteer project there with Mustafa, which is the person who I met at the UNGA conference, and he does crazy world leader work, and it's amazing how he can use normal people as building blocks and then support his way all the way up to government.
That's awesome. So you want to be engaged in something outside the borders of our country. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I want to zoom back into my community. I want to help around with the elementary school students around my community. My mom works with sometimes with kids with disabilities, and I want to learn to help them too. And yeah, I learned that that you can really do anything to help with this. It seems like you think that you're one person, you can't do anything, but one person can make a difference.
Yeah, I love it. Anybody else want to give a final thought before I dismiss you guys from the stage? Vince, how about you talk just for a minute about what it was like to get a moment on the stage there? So Vince was asked to take the stage at this conference to share a little bit about something that he's passionate about. And not necessarily getting into the initiative that you want to plan, but what was it like for you to be welcomed up onto a stage like that?
Nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Great. Say a little bit more about that.
So I was invited up to speak about a few topics that were close to my heart, and it was supposed to be around a 3-4 minute speech, so I had to kind of keep it short. But it was kind of empowering in a way, where I'm finally getting my voice heard, and I feel like I can really move on with some of the things that I talked about. And with the help of Ms. Butler, I think I'm going to get things on the road But yeah, it was a surprise when it was brought to my attention, because I thought I was just going on the trip. It's like, surprise, you're speaking. It's like, oh. So
it's nice to have something to say when you're asked to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Any final thoughts from our panel here before we dismiss you off the stage?
I thought it was just cool overall, just like meeting the different people and getting to see them talk and interact, because it's like these are the type of people that you see on the news, and it was like we were like sitting right with them, we were getting to talk to them and hear the things that they were truly passionate about, so I just thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. You got a microphone, Zaya. You got something else to share?
Okay, so yeah, back to what was Naomi was saying. I got to meet a lady, and we really connected on a topic from one of the sustainable developments. We were talking about zero hunger, and we just, like she said, like it was just really cool to talk to people about these problems and like having the same like connection that we had, because we wanted the same thing. We want to help people, so it was really cool like meeting these different people.